This transmission is issued under Article 9, Cultural Containment Act. Unauthorized possession or recollection of joy remains a criminal offense. Today's recovered artifact, Bloom. Recorded New York Sector, 2004. Origin, uncertain. Purpose, unclear. Subject matter, insubordination through beauty. 3 workers, 1 room, 1 rule. No deviation, no adornment, no questions. But within the concrete and paper, something grew. The following footage was recovered after the incident. All witnesses have been reassigned. All references to free thought have been expunged. Commencing playback. File designation 48-04. Bloom.
All right, welcome back. We are Cup of Meat Productions. 25 years, 48 hours at a time.
We got the numbers right for the first time in months.
We rehearse so thoroughly.
It's the problem of when we get old. Our brains aren't working quite as well as they once were, young lads.
Is that what it is? I often
Either
wonder
that or
if I just give myself that excuse. Either way works, fine, whatever.
It's one of the privileges of age, is you can call it wisdom when it's just orneriness.
Yeah. Call it what you want. Nobody's going to say otherwise.
So I thought that we should talk a little bit about what is the Cup of Meat process and how it's evolved over the years. On our last episode, I wanted to formally apologize for calling you stupid.
Wait, you're doing that on camera?
Only on camera. It's part of the act.
Oh, right. Oh, well, I fully accept that, and I'll have to think about something I may have said ever in the past that I need to apologize to you for.
That kind of banter that we do, I think we've been developing that since we met each other in junior high school.
Oh, yeah.
And just evolved it.
Yeah, I couldn't possibly even count how many times you called me smelly. And the funny thing is, as humans go, I'm actually not smelly, which is the great irony, right? I have faults, just not that one.
If you were smelly, I wouldn't call you smelly.
Right, and that's what makes it so good.
Now, that doesn't necessarily apply to the stupid comment. But with the smelly comment, definitely.
Right. I get it.
So we've used this ability to riff as kind of the foundation of how we make films.
Yes, there's a lot of that in there. There's a lot of the ability. There's the classic process of, nothing is wrong, everything is right, etc. We don't do that.
No,
we don't do that at all. In fact,
no.
I think you, maybe a little bit more than me, are very fast to say nope. And then I try to do more of what I'd call the honing, right? Just the pushing and the smoothing and the altering it, right? You're the no, I don't want to do that. And then all of a sudden it's just another thing. And then, but we also, go ahead.
We thrive in doing films that are weird, obscure, strange. They don't have to be good. They don't have to be good.
They don't have to be good.
They often are,
yeah.
but they're quirky. And what I think that our process has done is I'm the one who's going to push it like 6 miles past the level it needs to be.
Yes.
And you are the one who brings it back
Yes.
to come off as quirky, as
Not just-
opposed to coming off as, what the fuck are these people doing?
There's truth to that. I bring it to a point, and I'm also the one who pulls it into, okay, we need to have an ending, or okay, we need to, it needs to make sense here. Something has to make sense here. And you look at me at the entire time, says, no, it doesn't, no, it doesn't, no, it doesn't. And I push, and you push, and I push, and then in the end, the most interesting thing about it to me sometimes is on a Friday is where we started from to where we got. I couldn't possibly find the line that got us there. I couldn't. Sometimes I remember the lines, how we got there. But for the most part, no clue how we got from here to there. It's
Nope.
just onward. Like
it's a weird melange of ideas going back and forth.
Yeah, I love that.
But I will say, as we've progressed in what we do, I've learned how to. It's like, yes, we want to have some back and forth. We want to make sure we're honing it, but there are always those things that I see and have a perfect vision for, and I want to hold the line on. And as a result, it's more about the catchphrase, trust the process.
Yeah. And I accept that. I also know that I still have to push, because even if we hold the line on that thing, we still need to alter other things to make it work. Right? So it all works. It does. And going back to the fact of us making good films or bad films or whatever films, almost without exception, at least there's parts in every one of these films in which I really like it. Now, does that make us good filmmakers? Not necessarily, but it makes us something. It makes us cup of meat. All right, so this film, this was early, right? This was
Very
our
early.
4th film ever. To me, this one holds a special place in my mind and my heart for multiple things. First of all, it was the first one we really kind of set down on like almost a storyline that really kind of proceeds and grows and changes, and then luckily comes to some culmination of ending. And then it had Lisa and it had Jennifer as the two actresses, both amazing. And at that moment I thought, wow, we have people who can really act doing his films with us. And that was our first of that, really. I mean, because the two lost, I can't hardly remember. The one after that was pretty much me. And so, we all know that. And then this one, so good. In my mind.
This film is probably the first of our films that I look at and go, yeah, we kind of knew what we were doing there.
Yeah.
It was it was very well written. It had has a really interesting point of view and hooks to it.
Yes. The ambiance was great, right? Right. Not only well, I'm not going to ruin it for the audience here. Not only the background, but also the visuals, which were so amazing. That was early on. That was a solid tech success at the time.
This was I was relatively new to editing when we started making films. At this point, I was a few years in. I was very keen to add new little tools to my toolkit, and this one utilized a visual effects generation tool to do some things, some very small little CG effects. but where I also really leaned in was with the music. This was original score. This was using some very early rudimentary loop-based software, but it really all came together as probably the most advanced film we've done at this point.
By far the most advanced film. You can ignore animated Lenins. This was something.
This is also probably one of our only films that I keep in my mind as one, this would be interesting to remake.
I agree. I think we could, and I would want to tighten up the ending, because I think we were constrained by location first of the ending. That was the reality of that.
But the idea of finding a real location.
Yeah.
Or locations. Now, I will say, we've got some locations in this that were great, but we were very limited in locations. Being able to shoot it in HD and to really edit it with modern software, it'd be exciting.
So it's funny you bring that up, because back in the old days when I used to ride New Jersey Transit into the city, and we'd go through the Secaucus area, there were those big old factories or whatever they were. And there was a time when I thought to myself, wouldn't it have been great to have shot this film there?
It's a common limitation that we run into, especially with a lot of our earlier films, where our ambitions for locations are bigger than our sources, so we make do. But this is one where, with all the wisdom of age, as we talked about earlier,
I don't think it was wisdom we were talking about.
I think it'd be interesting to see what we could do with it.
Yeah, maybe it's worth doing. All right, so one of the things I try to do is maintain the Cup of Meat library or museum or whatever. And I just recently uncovered a few other artifacts from some of our films, one of which being Glee, one of the bags in Glee, which you'll see a later time, as well as some scripts. But this one, I did find something from this film. This is the actual ribbon that you'll see later. Anyway, it's just one of those things. I got a big bucket full of stuff, and
it was
kind of fun.
It was probably a few years into us doing these films when I discovered your curio cabinet of Cup of Meat, and it's amazing that you've held on to some of the crap you've held on to.
That's not the only thing I held on to.
Again, I don't want to call it hoarding.
But
you might want to see
it's okay.
Out.
Yeah.
So without further ado, made in 2004 in New York City, this is Bloom. So as I mentioned in the intro, this was a fully original score. As you can tell, by no means is it fully orchestral, but it was a fun addition to the process to actually custom score the film.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of things, very important early things to note, that what you're hearing in the background there is sort of that droning state, I guess you call it, propaganda sounds, and that is Esperanto. In the discussion of this, we wanted to have sort of that post-apocalyptic or sort of end state style where the government was everything, Soviet or pick one of those, and to have Esperanto seemed like an ideal choice as a failed language that sort of feels like some sort of...
And for those of you watching who may not know what Esperanto is, Esperanto was a language introduced, I think, in the 40s, as the idea of it would be a universal language that everyone would speak. It was a very socialist idea, but it got some legs. My mother went to a small girls' Catholic school in Albany, New York, and took Esperanto as her foreign language.
Yep. Yeah, and it's Latin based, but it's not specific to Spanish or otherwise, and it's very well done by Michelle Kritzler, who spent a fair amount of time figuring out how to speak it, and then did all the recordings for that sort of droning voice. So it's awesome.
Liberaco mal solto, liberaco misero. A mí estás por consuma, a mí estás por la asserti. Asserti instruisto, asserti partio, o inversigi accapari. Unito oni, unito felico. Adaptito masone ne creata, asserti genealio, usino igi nientut.
Okay, well, this film was actually chosen, the genre was buddy film. And we were very lucky to get Jen Boutel and Lisa Hogan as our two buddies in this. You can see they're sharing moments here, doing all sorts of fun stuff together. Two great stage and screen actors. I had the pleasure to work with on stage, and then, of course, through Cup of Meat. Just phenomenal, and so lucky to have them here.
Yeah, Lisa and Jen really were two of our early go-to actors, and they've appeared in many of our films. Not many of our films together, but they've been in many of our films.
Yep.
One other thing I think I wanted to note, because this was a realization that I've had just now, the character required for this film was John Upton, dog walker.
That's right.
And so you see on the wall an appearance by me with Jake.
Yep.
And it's Jay Upton in Esperanto, dog walker.
Dog walker. Perfect.
Nientut usino igi ni oni. A mí estás liberaco doloro, liberaco mal solto, a mí estás por consuma, a mí estás por la asserti. Asserti genealio, asserti partio, oni, ni inversigi accapari. Unito oni, unito felico. Vi laborulo, vi consumanto. Vi laborulo, vi consumanto. Adaptito masone ne creata. Asserti genealio, ateliero hemo. Usino igi nientut. Usino igi ni oni. A mí estás por la asserti.
The loudspeaker on the wall was a really necessary prop for the plot of this story. That particular loudspeaker was purchased at Radio Shack one fine Saturday morning, and was quickly returned on the following Monday.
Yep.
Cup of Meat is proud to have been part of the bankruptcy of the institution that was Radio Shack.
Proud's an interesting word, but I'll go with it.
Asserti partio oni, unito oni, unito vi laborulo, vi consumanto. Adaptito masone ne creata. Asserti genealio, usino igi nientut. Liberaco doloro, liberaco mal solto, liberaco misero. A mí estás por consuma, a mí estás por la asserti. felico, missio finite, ni inversigi accapari, asserti instruisto.
Yeah, this was shot. This outdoor sequence was shot at South Orange train station, guerrilla style. It wasn't, but I think 6 months later they actually tore down that staircase and tore apart the whole thing and replaced it all. That was that sequence where they're walking under the bridge there with the propaganda on the wall. That's a little bridge under the train tracks. You'll see early on the roof of the train station and some of the bolts and the industrial look to it. What a great place to shoot. So austere and yet very almost pretty in its style.
I remember we very much shot this guerrilla style. We went very early in the morning and shot these scenes, and I was terrified the entire time that the cops were gonna come, because the police station was literally across the street.
Adaptito Masone di Creata, asserti genealogio, usino igi, libereco doloro, libereco malsolto, libereco misero, asserti partio oni, asserti instruisto, vi laburlo, vi consumato.
And I just want to mention one thing on this one. When Jen ripped the ribbon out of Lisa's hair, and when she picked me up, she did not fool around. I mean, she just went. I mean, I barely had to move. She was literally lifting me. It was very impressive. And when she, like I said, when she yanked it out of Lisa's hair, that was a serious yank. That was very good stuff.
Consumato. A mi estas por la asserti. Missio felico, missio finite. Ni inversigi accapari. Unito oni, unito adaptito masone di creata. Asserti genealogio. Ateliero ige nientut usino igi ni oni. A mi estas por consuma. A mi estas por la asserti. Asserti partio oni. Asserti instruisto. Ni inversigi accapari. Missio felico. Missio finite. Ateliero hemo. Vi laburulo. Vi
Eerie.
I was definitely watching a lot of old films before I made this, and really wanted that look of those shuttered blinds behind in the scene, and it was this task of, okay, what light do we put at what angle with the blinds at what, and
Yeah, we actually used Venetian blinds that I had from the house and actually shot a lamp through it to get that look. You do with what you have to do.
Yes, at this point we were probably still using utility lights and whatever we had in the garage.
Yeah, those little lights above my head there, I remember I ran off to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever and bought them to try to give that industrial look that morning. Same thing along with the loudspeaker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I still have those somewhere. Of course I do.
See, there lies the difference. The loudspeaker went back. The lights, they stayed around.
They stuck.
Duncan.
So the film coda has become one of our go-to staples. We've used it in quite a few films.
Yeah, absolutely.
This coda in particular, I find interesting because it is a good kind of wrap up to the film. It shows the consequences of Jen's actions.
Her sacrifice.
It had that interesting shot of Jay appearing from behind, which was kind of cool. It is also the shot that we needed to put in the film to get in the required line of dialogue, which was, "You caught me at a bad time." Which there was nowhere in the film that, for the most part, was silent to put that. And so it was relegated to the coda.
Yeah, there were 2 entire lines before that. Go, thank you. And then we had to put the line of dialogue in there. Now, today, we would probably be a little bit more flippant and find a way to do it otherwise. But then, that's how we needed to do it.
It didn't sit well. Didn't really work well with what was going on in the scene.
Yeah, didn't really work well.
But it checked that box for us.
All right. The BVR, otherwise known as the Beaver film. This one, a funny little romp into lots of silliness with an interesting twist about the weekend in which we shot that, but I'll save that for next time.
It was in the days when we were constantly looking for the next challenge. Well, we've made a film in 48 hours. How can we make it harder? And that weekend,
how can we make it harder on ourselves?
Made it harder. Happy New Year. This is technically season 2. We've made it through our first episode of season 2.
Season 2. That's impressive.
So last season, I think we had a bit of how we were going to end it. We would come up with funny things. I'd make you talk in German, or I'd make you do something without the letter E, or I was just being a dick. So I think I think it's only fair you can challenge me to how we're going to end this.
All right, well, that's fair.
This episode.
I'm gonna definitely think about that, and I'm gonna challenge you.